and Kenny would later claim that during this barrage, he had an out-of-the-body experience, as if he was watching the scene from 15 feet away. Some cases of miraculous survival from gun attacks are those that involve people who have taken an extreme amount of gunfire that should have destroyed them, yet they have lived to tell the tale. Sometimes even with few long-term negative effects or permanent injuries. While most people would think that being shot once or twice would be a death sentence, how about a man who was shot 20 times and walked away? Before we head into our today's stories, if you are new to our channel, please consider to subscribe it by hitting the red button and turn on all the notifications so that you will never miss any of our weekly uploads. In 1995, Kenny Vaughan of Rougemont, North Carolina, pulled into his driveway one evening after work on what was up until now just a normal, mundane night. When he got out of his car, there would have been no reason to suspect that this would be any different from any other evening. But then, a van pulled up right behind and a man climbed out of it holding a rifle, who Kenny soon realized was his former neighbor. Kenny began to speak out to him, and that was when the man raised the rifle and aimed it straight at Kenny. The first bullet hit him in his leg as he tried to run away around the side of the house. As Kenny crawled along his side, his attacker emerged from the shadows and began relentlessly shooting at him over and over again at a range of around 5 feet. Amazingly, Kenny still kept crawling and trying to get to his minivan in order to crawl under it for some sort of protection, even as bullet after bullet ripped into him. As he felt each impact, he said, "I asked the Lord not to hit me in my heart and head," and continued crawling along, his assailant following him like a spectre and firing again in a barrage of gunfire. The no doubt startled attacker had to stop to reload, during which Kenny somehow climbed up to his feet and onto the hood of his minivan, and the gunman shot him in the abdomen to send him sprawling, before continuing to light up him with bullets. The shots were from very close range, with nothing to protect him, and Kenny would later claim that during this barrage, he had an out-of-the-body experience, as if he was watching the scene from 15 feet away. When the merciless attack stopped, Kenny had been shot 20 times, and the gunman ran off to leave him lying there in the spreading pool of blood. Unbelievably, Kenny did not lose consciousness the entire time and was lucid enough and able to speak even when paramedics arrived. When doctors examined the very serious damage, they were astonished that he could have possibly lived through that, let alone remain conscious and able to speak. Two doctors who operated on Kenny said his survival was unprecedented, noting that every one of the many bullets had managed to just barely miss a vital organ, with two of them missing his heart by mere millimeters. One of the doctors would say, "How you can get that many bullets in the chest, the groin, the abdomen and the extremities and not have a lethal injury is pretty remarkable." Kenny Vaughan would not only fully recover from his grievous injury, but suffers no long-term physical effects from his harrowing ordeal. How he managed to survive such an attack remains unknown. These cases are pretty incredible, but perhaps even more so are those cases in which people have managed to recover from being shot right in the head, something that seems like it must surely mean death, but apparently not always. Army veteran Sidney Rice was just a 25-year-old college student when her ordeal unfolded. At the time, she was staying in Huntington, West Virginia, at the house of her boyfriend, Aaron Black. On the evening of September 2nd, 2017, she woke to the sight of her boyfriend's college buddy, Quentin Sheffield, bursting into the room, waving around a gun and shouting. Sheffield then held the gun up and calmly shot her in the head at point blank range. Even after having been shot in the head, she managed to stay conscious and call emergency services, although her boyfriend would later die from his injury. Rice would spend 10 days in the hospital and lost an eye, but she made such a solid recovery that she didn't even need rehabilitation or any special follow-up surgeries. 1 month later, Sheffield would hand himself into cops and was convicted in 2020 of the first-degree murder of Aaron Black. Rice has gone on to marry security guard Jeffrey Johnson, and the couple have a 1-year-old daughter, Leah. On September 4th, 2005, 3-year-old Stephanie Ayula of Hillside, New Jersey, was in Nigeria to attend her aunt's wedding. The day after the event, as she was heading to evening church services with her grandmother and grandfather, they were ambushed by a gunman who fired upon them in an apparently random and unprovoked, senseless attack. The gunfire would kill Stephanie's grandfather, critically injuring her grandmother, and one of the bullets hit her directly in her head, tearing away her forehead and scalp to leave her brain tissues exposed. It was a sickening, gruesome injury that was immediately deemed to be fatal. But somehow, this little girl was breathing and lucid, even with her head destroyed and her brain hanging out and hemorrhaging badly. She was taken to a hospital in Nigeria, after which she was airlifted to Newark Airport and then taken to Hackensack University Medical Center to undergo advanced neurosurgery to remove bullet and skull fragments and remove sections of the skull to allow the brain to swell without creating too much pressure on the brain. At the time, it was unknown if she would survive the surgery, and even if she did, it was thought she would most certainly suffer debilitating handicaps and loss of cognitive function. What no one at all expected was that she would be back to her usual self shortly after the surgery. And although she wears an eye patch and has undergone many more reconstructive procedures, she has suffered no noticeable cognitive damage or defects, and in fact is completely normal neurologically. Indeed, she has gone on to live a relatively normal life, leading her to be widely known among her doctors and friends as the Miracle Girl. So that's it, folks, for the today's episode. Please let me know in the comments your thoughts on today's lucky people. Also, if you are new to our channel, consider to subscribe our channel by hitting that red button. Till then, take care.